Welcome back to the Unity Obstacle Course tutorial. In this video, we're going to be going over wandering hazards. So what is a wandering hazard? So basically, we're going to implement an obstacle type that is placed within a wander region, which is pretty much an invisible box, and will randomly move to a new point within the region at random times. So we're actually not going to be creating like patrol points. This is actually just creating a region, and then it's going to, the new mobile hazard is going to wander within that region at different points between two ranges. So it's going to be, if we set the X at 100, the Z at 100, it's going to work between negative 100 and to 100 on the X and negative 100 to 100 on the Z, which creates pretty much a perfect square. So we're going to create a new script first. So we have to go to our project, scripts, and we're going to create a new C# script and call it WanderRegion. And again, I'm going to be putting all of these in the description at the bottom of the video. Or in the description, I'm going to supply a paste bin, so don't really work too much on just kind of following along, because there's a lot of code in this section. And so here we have our wander region. And first, we're going to have to kind of, in the tooltip, this is actually a new type of variable that we're using. And this tooltip is going to allow us to set the vector3 like coordinates when we're using our, inside of the inspector for this wander region. And then we're also going to be using this get random point within function. And so again, it's just multiplying the X by negative 0.5f and 0.5f. So if we have it at 100 and 100, it's actually going to be half of that value. And we will be having it at 100 and 100. And then another thing that's different about this method is the awake method. So again, this isn't the start. This is before it even starts, so that before the script goes to run for the first time, it's at the awake, so that these are all found right at the beginning. And so if we see, we have that undeclared wanderer data type, and so we have to go back to our thing, and next we're going to declare our wanderer script. C# script wander. And then we're going to open that one up, and again, it's pretty basic, but so the main thing that is kind of starting here is that we have three states that our wanderer can be. We have idle, rotating, and moving. In idle, the mobile hazard just stands there and it waits. And while it's rotating, the mobile hazard is not moving, but it's turning toward the next position that the mobile hazard has targeted. And while moving, they travel toward the point, which they will now be directly facing until they reach it, where they stop and become idle again. So that's kind of what we've kind of declared in this little bit of just nice syntactical sugar to create an enum that has three different states: idle, rotating, moving, and then that is called state. That's that kind of data type. It's like an interface data type. It's just kind of like a label. It doesn't do a lot of operations. And then we call state.idle and make sure that it's the exact same. And so this is basically just a 0, rotating is a 1, and moving is a 2. And so after that, we're going to have to declare a lot of class members. So again, that's why I'm saying don't try to follow along in this one, because there's just too many class members to go. But what we're kind of basically doing is the same thing as the patrolling hazard. And especially, so we have this retarget, and then we want to kind of, we need to declare that method. And this is pretty simple. We set our current target to a new random point in the region. We mark our initial rotation. We mark the rotation required to look at the target. Then we start rotating and then begin moving again by invoking the begin moving method. And begin moving is pretty simple. We just set the rotation and then we set the state to moving. So that will call the necessary methods inside of update especially, and in start we're just calling that retarget method at the beginning to kind of get things kicked off. And then in update we have just this simple one. It's just, it checks to see if the state is moving. If it's moving, it tells it to move towards, and then it grabs a new point. And if it's rotating, we're going to rotate for you. And so that's that declares the methods that we're going to be using. And then we need to create Well, we're gonna just do it. It needs to be inside of this plain wandering region, because that's what we're gonna set as the wandering region. And so we're gonna create empty, and we're just going to call it wander. Remember, it's spelled with an A, not an O. After this, we are going to attach a hazard. We're going to assign it to the hazard layer, and then we're going to attach a hazard script to the wanderer, and then we are going to add a kinematic rigid body to it. And that is kinematic, so we have to check the box. And then we need to copy and paste the model base that we used for our patroller, and then just paste it into wanderer. Oops, we need to paste as child. And so that's just basically how that works. Model base, we need to set it at 0, 0, and then this should be 0, 1.5, 0. Well, that's taking up the entire thing, it seems like. Let's undo this stuff. All right, so we're gonna actually have to redo that. We don't want to start it under the plane directly. We want to first create it as its own separate child, and then we drag and drop it to a child of the plane. And so after that, we need to add the wanderer script to the wanderer, and then we're going to have to declare the necessary transform. So the empty player object is the transform, and the model base is the model trans. And so that's how that gets called. And then we need to also kind of attach a wander region, and we're just going to clear that 100, 100. And this might actually be a little bit wonky, so we're gonna run it and see what happens. And so that actually does move that wanderer. As we can see, it's picking a spot, moving around within that region. And yep, so that's all I have for you today. Thanks for following along, but don't forget to like, comment, and to subscribe. See you later.